Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I know I'm supposed to be at the point where I would be releasing the Rubber Soul video from the Beatles album series. Unfortunately, even though I was starting to prepare for it even a couple of weeks ago, I managed to break my leg, and so now I'm more or less immobilized most of the time. Typically, to actually record that video, it's not only just writing a script or just preparing the records and preparing the camera and all of that, but it's also a lot of work that I do beforehand, listening to the records, listening to them in parallel, listening to the vinyl records in parallel with the CDs and changing the CDs. And most of these with my system, but I think with most systems, especially when vinyl records are involved, requires me to be on my 2 feet in front of the system and moving things around, which unfortunately I cannot do. So instead of this, I'm still going to be working on it. So I'm still at the moment when I'm in a position to be able to at least sit or stand, in front of the system for 30 minutes, an hour. I'm going to start doing the audio tests between the vinyl records of Rubber Soul and the CDs that I have. I also have some cassettes now, but until I'll be able to do that, I did film in the past few weeks, and even with my broken foot, a couple of unboxings. Of course, not at the same level that I did before. I couldn't stand really, but I did try my best to be able to capture everything when unboxing some records that I've received in the past month. So the unboxings that we're going to be looking at today are vinyl records or vinyl versions of some of the Beatles albums that are not necessarily from the main catalog of albums, but rather they are, let's say, pieces that fill in this catalog that were mostly released in the past 30 years, so after the 90s. You will see what I'm talking about. Some of them, like I said, are not easy to find, so they are you can only find them online on sites like Discogs and eBay and stuff like that. And to find them sealed is not super easy. You can find them, but of course sealed records will have a bigger price tag, and for some of them I'm 100% sure that the current price tags that they have are bigger than what they were when they were launched. Fortunately, some of the records were released through or re-released through the Agostini sets that were brought forward near the end of the 2010s, right before the pandemic, I think. So thankfully you can still find some versions of those records, and as I will express through the video, I was actually happy to get some of those, because actually some of the records in that the Agostini collection are good pressings, and some of them are better pressings than the previous issues of the same records, and you'll see which ones I'm talking about. So don't worry, Rubber Soul is still coming. I have the records, they're prepared. I have the CDs, everything is ready. I just need to be ready physically to do that video. But until then, stick around to see what records we will unbox today. I will have some thoughts about each of them after unboxing, because I will listen to them, or have listened to them after unboxing each. I did find some problems with some of them, and I will explain exactly what, even though they were sealed. One of them is actually the most expensive record that I bought, that is in my collection at this moment. Probably for big collectors it wouldn't count as super expensive, but for my budget it definitely is. So to see all of those, stick around. So this looks packed, or at least sealed pretty well. It has fragile tape all over. Let's see where we can break this open. It's difficult for me to say in this state exactly where it's better to cut. Just gonna take my chances. But from there we go. I think that's okay. From the way that I feel it, box seems partially empty. Yeah, So there's no protection here, no bubble wrap, no nothing here to keep sort of the contents in place. But we'll see. Yeah, it's just this. It seems like it's just this cardboard piece. There's a lot of dust. Yeah, let's see how they are. You can see this is the Anthology 2 and Anthology 1. Okay, they seem to be packed in an additional outer sleeve, which is good. It protects them, but it would have been good if they had some bubble wrap or something to fill in the space in the box to keep them fixed in there, but fine. Let's take this out. And yeah, they are sealed as advertised. Looks good. Yeah, the stretch wrap is in really good condition. No rips, no tears. This is the spine. This is where the other spine where we'll take the discs off. So each of these has 3 discs. Let's check out Anthology 2 as well. Let's take this out. I mean, it looks good. It looks nice. It looks as new. Of course, these are the 2017 or 2018 reissues that were part of the Agostini collections in various European countries. Here you go, some details about the production. George Martin, of course, was at the helm of the Anthology project, musically speaking. And there it is. It's good, the spine. Okay. Yeah, they look pretty nice. We'll get them open and see what's inside in a few seconds. See, they are forming part of the larger poster. Of course, if we had the third one here, they would look like that. They would pretty much show the entire picture designed by Klaus Form. Now let's get Anthology 1 opened. Have to be careful here to not scratch, cut into the cover. Probably need to find a better way or a better cutter to use for the future. So I'm not going to keep the stretch wrap on these. I try to keep it on many records, but on these no. I don't think it's useful, especially because this is a fold out, so it would be impossible for me to open it properly. Also, the hologram stamp label is on the cover itself, so okay, let's see. See, we have on the first fold out the pictures of the 4 Beatles from their early years, as well as other photos. And then the contents of the discs are, or actually details about the contents of the disc, about some of the songs are listed on these 2 foldouts. Let's take the first disc out. Okay, looks good. Poly outer. Let's look at the record. The Apple label, a little bit faded in color, I would say. Oh, the disc looks good. There's a lot of dust, and I see some already some dust and lint. Okay, let's take out the second record. And poly outer, Apple label on both sides, Apple and half Apple on the second side, of course. This looks good. We're just gonna put it back, and there's no point in taking all of them out. And the third one, which is put like on the inside like this. It's not opening on the outside the space for the third disc. But again, Apple label, half Apple. Here the outer is a bit damaged. I guess from taking it out and putting it back in, this might happen even more. Now let's take a look at Anthology 2. Again, I have to be careful with this. Okay. Oh, that was close. Yeah, that should do it. Let me get this out. Okay. That should do it. Okay, let's take a look inside. Now this one has, of course, the colors of the era, right? That included Sgt. Pepper. And you see even the picture from the Sgt. Pepper photo sessions there. Blue, yellow, and red, kind of like the Romanian flag there. And of course, with the details about the contents of the discs. The tracks included a bit of their history. Let's take a look at the first record again. Standard green Apple label on one side and the half Apple on the other side. We're just going to take a look at this disc as well. Looks good. There's some lint there. I guess some debris or dust and debris off of the sleeve, but nothing, no scratches. Looks nice. We'll clean it up, of course, before playing. Let's put this back for now. Here's again the picture from the Sgt. Pepper sessions. I'll just close it down a little bit. There's no point in taking all of the discs out. And here it is, Anthology 2. We have, of course, the details about the production, again with George Martin, the contents in the middle. Now, let's see, this should be easier to open up. Looks quite straightforward. Better than the other two. I guess here it will be a soft spot. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, for this one we have better packaging inside. Oh, there's another. Yep, some bubble wrap there, see? I mean, the other box for the Anthology 1 and 2 was bigger. Here we have, as you can see already, Anthology 3, the last of the batch. Still from around 2017, 2018. The Agostini reissues. This one's supposed to be actually a little bit better than the original one from the 90s in terms of the volume of the vinyl pressing. There were some issues, I think, with some of the pressings from the 90s, if I recall correctly. Let's get this up carefully so we don't scratch anything. Just need to break it apart a little bit. Very nice tight packaging though. There we go. Last piece of the puzzle. As you can see, this also is still sealed with the wrap around the entire record. So it should be pretty good. There we go. Like this one, it has the pictures from most of my favorite Beatles albums, right? Looks good. It's a little bit, so I see the corners are a little bit nicked there. And it's kind of bulky. I think the corner here as well seems like it's a little bit, you see, there's a little bit of disc ring wear. That's the hologram. The spine looks decent enough. Yeah. We'll have to see how the records are inside. That's it, Anthology 3. Let's get this open now. Again, we have to be careful to not cut in the sleeve. And like with the others, for this one I will not keep the wrap because, yeah, this being a trifold, it will be impossible to keep it and actually get to the records. It kind of looks like, I'm looking at it, it kind of looks a little bit warped. We'll have to check the records for that, but it kind of looks a little bit bent, like the corners, if you look at it. But yeah, we'll see. It's a box with 3 records in the end. And you see the corner is also bent, fortunately. Hopefully the contents are okay. Nice picture from the last photo session, I think, of the Beatles that they had for, that they used for the Hey Jude album in the end. Again, the contents. Some other pictures and contents, the rest of the contents for all of the sides. Okay. Let's take a look at the first record there. There it is. Again, green, apple, half apple, poly outer sleeve. There's some ring wear on this, so it seems like this was kept, you know, tight in a space. But there's the record. No scratches. There's some lint and some dust. Label looks okay. Kind of looks a little bit, so we'll have to try this out. It looks a little bit warped, but I'm not sure. Oh, we'll try it out. Okay, let's put this back. Kind of hate it, like sometimes, you see, they're not going in quite smoothly. Second disc again with the inside entry, point of entry. Okay. Yeah, this will be the most difficult one of the most difficult ones to put back, I guess. I mean, yeah. And the third one will be here on the right side. Check this out as well. Okay. Yeah. Seems to me like on this on Anthology 3, like the labels are a little bit darker in terms of the contrast and the color. Now you see, so this is why I kind of hate these trifolds. Sometimes they're so tight, but there's a problem with the discs only, and I feel like I always kind of need to force them in. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Anthology 3. Now, with the cover, you know, this is like the spine, but yeah, I mean, it's just it seems like it was not kept well. Now, I like this because it has the
pieces of Abbey Road and Sgt. Pepper and Rubber Soul and Let It Be, Help there, and Hard Day's Night, The Revolver. Basically most of my favorite albums, if Magical Mystery Tour was there, that would be the entire lot. The contents, and again production and direction by George Martin and some other credits there. As with the other anthologies, it's the same on all three. And all rights, copyrights, details as well. So yeah, Anthology 3.
Now, that was the Anthology trilogy. Before we go to the next unboxing, I wanted to take a small break from the video flow and talk a little bit about Anthology 3, because you know, this one, through the unboxing, you don't really see it, you cannot really notice that, but after I've unboxed it and started listening to it, I noticed that unfortunately a couple of the records were very warped. So to quite a high degree, I must say. All of them, actually all three discs were warped, but two of them, disc 1 and disc 3, were very warped. Putting them on this record player that always needs to be with the lid down, and the lid has a mechanism on it that moves the stylus around, moves the cartridge around. It meant that a warped record can be only so much warped and still play properly before it actually gets small scratches or shapes from the mechanism while revolving, right? Because the way that it works is, you know, if it's warped a little bit and you have a record player that has a lid on, but it's a taller lid, and the stylus and the cartridge kind of is put by hand, or is one that is with a tone arm that is on the left side, it'll potentially play, even if it's warped like these were, it'll potentially still play more or less properly without skipping or anything, because it has enough space to do the to wave around. But for my record player, it didn't. So a couple of the disc 1 and disc 3 were so warped that they were actually, at some point, especially when the cartridge was moving towards the middle of the disc, they would start to hear sounds of them being touched on the mechanism on the lid. So it's like, and it was more and more preeminent as it moved towards the center. And disc 3 was actually awful. The discs themselves sounded excellent, at least to my ears. They sounded excellent, and it's quiet vinyl, but with enough volume of the record and of the recording to not have any surface noise that you would notice, especially during the songs. And as a small parenthesis to this as well, is that I had read that the version of Anthology that was released in the 90s, especially Anthology 3, people were referring to it, had this issue. Maybe they were just referring to one of the pressings, I don't recall, but definitely was referring to Anthology through the release from the 90s, was that the vinyl was so silent, the vinyl was cut so low with the volume that the surface noise that inevitably appears would be too loud when compared to the music, right? So you couldn't really, you could listen to it, but it wouldn't have been the listening experience that you should have had. Well, with this re-release from, I think, 2017, I was part of the Agostini sets from different countries, so not only like UK, but also Italy, Spain, France. They had these sets being released. They sound excellent. So what I had to do is I talked, and this is why I wanted to make this break, it's because I think it's important to mention this as well, is I talked to the seller who sold me this, because I bought all the 3 records, I think, from the same seller, if I recall correctly. And he was nice enough when he heard about this, he didn't even ask me. I had recorded videos of it, and took a lot of pictures and stuff to kind of prove that, listen, this was sealed, but these are highly warped, I cannot play them. Sellers on Discogs usually, for those cases, especially for sealed records, they say, well, if it's not like obviously warped, with the whole package being clearly in a bad state, whatever, it's sealed, and the seller cannot know how the records are inside, which is fair enough. This was one of the greatest experiences of my life, at least buying things online and buying music online, because this seller was more interested in me having the experience that I had paid for and that I was hoping to have, than for him to save 50, 70 euro on a record. So what he did is, listen, I will look for other versions, other copies, because he had other sealed copies, and I will take one that looks excellent on the outside. I will have to unseal it to check the records and make sure that they are perfectly round and without warps, and I will send you another one. And he did, without any cost from my side. And actually this one is that one. It's the second one that I received. There's no warp on any of the records. They were in perfect condition. It was no longer sealed when he sent it, but there was no sign that it had ever been used, and they play excellent. So yeah, this was my experience with Anthology, at least with Anthology 3. Thankfully, I managed to get a disc in mint condition, as I was hoping to.
Okay, let's see what we have here today. Well, this has been thoroughly wrapped. It's basically sealed in duct tape and scotch tape, but that's good, I guess. I mean, it keeps it protected from prying eyes or people trying to get into the box, or even poking holes would be harder with this, I guess, to a certain extent. Just gonna try, and I think it's gonna take me cutting through this tape on more sides. I don't think it will work just one side. Let's try it here as well. Yep. Okay. Just gonna try and pry this open a little bit. There needs to be a point where the box is actually sealed. I think this seems to be like the one. There's a small, yeah, looks like it. Cut through, but I need to cut through carefully. I'm not sure exactly how things are set up inside, and I don't want to risk in putting any dent onto the contents, and you will see why. Because this was the most, let's say, expensive for me record that I've bought so far, and this, I think the only thing that was that beat this in terms of price tag was the BC13, the Beatles collection box set. But everything, all the rest, this includes all of the CD box sets, were not as much as this one. And at least some of you will understand why soon. Okay, it's good that we have the bubble wrap. And maybe some of you will already know what this is. Oh, come on. There we go. Finally. So, yeah, some of you potentially already know what this is through the color and sort of the design that you've seen through the bubble wrap, and it is the Beatles' Let It Be Naked album, which, for those who don't know, is a alternate version of the Let It Be album that was redone with the support of the remaining Beatles at that time, especially Paul McCartney, who didn't really like some of the mixes on the original album that were put out. So you see this has an outer protective sleeve, but and we'll take this out, but also it should have it should be sealed inside. This one was issued in 2003, and this is one of the records that was not reissued. Even the Anthology, let's take this out. Even the Anthology was reissued with the Agostini sets, and most of their albums are of course reissued multiple times with the stereo from 2012, and then the mono, and then again the Agostini sets. So yeah, you can see this is sealed, and this is a record from 2003, so it has 21 years now, and it's been sealed this whole time. So I have the kind of privilege, right, to be the one on opening this. Hopefully everything will be okay inside. You'll see the contents. This was not released only as one album. It has a couple of extra elements inside. Here are the contents of the album itself, so the track listing. But you can also see there is a fly on the wall bonus disc, if you will, which contains chatter and discussions from the recording sessions. And here we have the Apple logo, of course, the barcode and the hologram stamp. This was one of the records that has, now in 2024, of course, been exposed the most, along with recording sessions, right? Because you have the documentary, the Peter Jackson documentary, you have this album, you have the original album, you have a new mix by Giles Martin, you have this additional disc, the Fly on the Wall, you have pieces of the recording sessions and variants of the songs on Anthology, and bonus discs on the new, so sort of deluxe collection that appeared a couple of years ago, plus the original mix of Get Back, the album that later turned into Let It Be, from 1969. Let's get this open now. I have to be super careful with this one. I don't want to risk doing anything. Oh, there we go. That should do it. Okay. There we go. Let It Be Naked. Let's take a look inside now. So it's a nice gatefold with a pic from the rooftop concert with some lyrics, handwritten lyrics superimposed. It's I've Got a Feeling. And you have the booklet first, and then there is the bonus disc here, which we'll take out and take a look at. There we go. Let It Be Naked, Fly on the Wall. The bonus disc, if you will, with pieces of conversations and studio chatter. As you can see, side 1, side 2, contents. And the disc does not have a pulley inner. Surprising, but I'll try to find one. This is side 2. Disc, however, looks okay. Just some dust there. There's a small hair or some lint, but yeah, side 1. Let's put this back. I'm gonna get a pulley inner sleeve for it, and then an outer sleeve for the cover for the outer sleeve, and I'll put them together in a poly outer sleeve. Now let's see the back again. So we have side 1 and side 2, the contents. We'll get this better protected. Now let's take a look at the book. I'll actually leave the booklet for the end. Let's take a look at the actual record first. This one does have a poly outer, as you can see. An outer sleeve with a poly inner. Oh, I think this was a security tag. That's nice. And let's see the disc. Seems to be in pretty good shape. The silver label, I like these ones, like this one, and maybe the Yosemite soundtrack, and there are others which have these more custom labels to the album itself versus the more standard Apple ones that are on many of the Beatles records nowadays. This one's pretty nice. Let's put it back. I'll try it out. You'll know from me how it sounds. Okay. And
That's the record. Let's take a look at the booklet. See some pictures from the recording sessions. Some of these images will seem familiar, at least if you've seen the Let It Be documentary or Peter Jackson's Get Back documentary. See the contents. Oh, so the kids over 80 2000. So this starts with the same, it's the same content as the booklet from the CD. The intro and the notes. Here we have more pictures, and we have pieces of conversation. This is similar to the Get Back book. It's mostly conversations, transcripts. Yeah, again, the gatefold in inner picture is here as well. And you know, again, the contents of both discs. This is basically the booklet. It's a good booklet. But yeah, again, it's the same as the CD. So, let's put these back for now. This is Let It Be Naked. So that was Let It Be Naked. Now I have this album on 3 different mediums. Yeah, we have the vinyl record, which I was very happy to find sealed. With this one, I also had an interesting story. Initially, I was trying to buy it from a seller from Ukraine. He was not a big seller on Discogs. He had, I think, bought a few records there, and he had a collection that he had built that he was sharing there, but he was not selling many records. I had a few discussions with him. The price was pretty good. He had recorded himself playing the record because it's not sealed. He was playing the record and it sounded amazing, at least on the recording. Everything seemed to be in order, but I couldn't buy it from him because currently, because of the war in Ukraine, there are some restrictions in PayPal payments between, at least to Ukraine, at least from Romania. And you can send money, but to friends and family. And when buying online, it's not good to use that option. You need to use the option for purchasing, a product from a sort of a seller. So unfortunately, I couldn't buy it from him. So I paid extra buying it from somebody else versus what I would have paid for him. But I did receive it sealed, as you've seen. And again, I can confirm that it sounds excellent. I've listened to it. It sounds excellent. When we'll get to the Let It Be video, which will be, who knows, many weeks in the future, we'll cover the Let It Be Naked as well in terms of sound and my preference. I can say that for me, the Let It Be album and my preference to certain songs and how they sound is split between Let It Be, the original album, the new mix that was produced by Giles Martin a few years ago, and Let It Be Naked. So I'm not sort of inclined to any of the versions completely. I have certain songs that I like hearing more from Let It Be Naked and certain ones from the original album or from the new mix. But that will be a future video. Now let's get on with the last record unboxing of the day. Okay, let's see what we have here. Well, in full disclosure, I know what we have here. So you'll get to see it soon. It's one of my, I think it's one of my favorite Beatles records. One of my favorite mixes, or maybe said remixes of Beatles music. And maybe giving you a bit of a. There we go. Yeah, so yeah, one of my favorite special mixes of Beatles music, and this may be giving you some of you an idea
of what is inside here. Okay. And today, or now, we have, as you can see, the Beatles' Love album. The album produced by George Martin and Giles Martin, and the mixes, remixes done by them to several Beatles songs in a huge medley that was used for the Beatles' Love Cirque du Soleil show. See, it's sealed and it still has the hologram Cirque du Soleil, you see here, next to the Apple logo as well. And the contents, it's a double record, so 2 discs, as you can see. I didn't think I would like something that is basically a remix and as a spine, looks quite good. So I didn't think I would like this, but when I listened to it the first time, it was great. Oh, something is with the corners. They're a little bit bent inside. Hopefully the discs were not affected. Otherwise the outer wrap is in good shape. Okay, let's get this open. Again, I'll have to be careful. And again, I will not keep the outer wrap because this being a gatefold, it's going to be difficult to be able to take the discs out properly and put them back in if I leave the wrap. But anyway, of course I have outer sleeves that, poly outer sleeve that I will use to protect all of these records. So I think this should be enough. Let's rip this apart. Okay, there we go. The Beatles' Love. Okay. So the corners are a little bit hit there. Again, an inner. I mean, I think this is the same picture from the rooftop concert, right? It was on Let It Be Naked, or it's similar. Just this now, of course, a different color scheme and superimposed on building pictures of buildings and such. Now we have a booklet here as well. I think this was the case for most of the records, Beatles records that were included in the D'Agostini collections and the reissues. They all have these booklets, and this is again similar to what we have on the CD, I think, with introductions by George Martin and Giles Martin, as you can see, which was the first and biggest Beatles project that they collaborated on before George Martin, of course, passed away. Again, the picture from the gatefold, and some other pictures of the Cirque du Soleil show superimposed with some artistic designs and with the Beatles themselves, as you can see. So not much text, but at least some pictures that give you an idea of the direction, let's say, of the Cirque du Soleil Beatles Love show. This is a UK version, by the way, and it was from a D'Agostini collection from 2017, so it's a reissue of the album. And the contents here on the back of the booklet, the same as with the record. Let's see the record itself, the first one at least, volume, disc 1. Sides A1 and 2. Poly inner outer sleeve, thankfully. This is side A. Red, and this is what I was saying, I think, for Let It Be as well. I like these customized labels versus just the regular Apple ones. You see this one with the nice red and yellow combination with the yellow writing on red background. This looks okay. Doesn't seem to be bent or anything. Can't wait to listen to this one, to be honest. Now let's see disc 2. Here the pulley inner outer sleeve has a rip, I guess from the disc moving around too much. I'm gonna have to probably replace this. Oh, and I like this also that the second disc has a different or opposite color variation, as you can see. Yellow background, red letters. Looks pretty good. Let's put it back. This album also contains my favorite version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps, which I can't wait to listen to. So yeah, Beatles love.
So this was Beatles Love. It's one of my favorite new mixes of Beatles songs, right? I do like all of the new mixes by Giles Martin, some more than others, obviously. But the way that he and George Martin have built the music for this show, it was just amazing, right? And actually, this is interesting because while I'm filming this, like just a few days ago was the last official representation of Beatles Love on Cirque du Soleil. So it's been, what, almost 20 years, not 20 years yet, but almost, since this was put out the first time. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm gonna listen to it actually after we close this video, because this one, the unboxing of it, I've just done a few moments ago, like in real time, so I was preparing for this video as well. So I can't wait to hear this. I haven't heard this yet from the vinyl as opposed to the others. But before we close, I was thinking that I wanted to add a special flavor to the end of this video, right? Because unboxings are many on the internet, and I've done several. And because in the last one, I think the sort of, for me, the piece of resistance was the cassette, the Let It Be Naked cassette that I unsealed near the end of the video, which is something quite rare to find nowadays. I thought I would add something similar today that I think is even more impressive, at least for me, to be able to buy in this state. And this would be this, actually 1973 cassette version of the Blue Album. As you can see, this is actually from either Germany or the Netherlands. It's unsure, I'm unsure, and the seller was also unsure, because the same, almost the exact same version of the cassette was published in both countries in that period. So this very nice, I think, green box cassette, and we'll unseal it live. It already, the seal, I mean the outer wrap is already kind of broken in places, but it's still, you can still consider it to be sealed. You see, like you can rip it apart very easily because it has some holes, but still. And I think this is amazing to be able to find this. And I'll be able to listen to this, and in a future video probably tell you how this actually sounds. Currently, my current deck is always also being exchanged because the one that I had kind of was getting broken, so I'll need to find a better one. So yeah, but let's see. Like outer wrap from 1973. Let's see. Okay, I mean the box looks nice enough on the inside. Let's see. You know, it's in pretty good shape. The inner sleeve, or the J card, actually, how it's called. So this is a extended sort of tape, sort of double tape, because it contains more songs and you know, it's more content than regular tapes, which were limited at 1 hour, right, 30 minutes per side. But this one has a little bit more, so it can include actually both, let's say, volumes of the Blue Album, right, one on each side. And the cassette, which is a I like these old cassettes very much. This very nice green with orange label cassette. You see you have the songs here printed on the label. It says made in EEC, Now, looking at the language on which these warnings are printed here, I hope you can see them. It looks like German. I don't know, I mean, I can't say that I'm very good at determining the differences between Dutch and German, but this looks more like German than Dutch. I think there are certain things which are very specific about the Dutch language that maybe even somebody who doesn't know the languages very well like me can point out. So in this case, this looks like the German version of the cassette, and it still looks amazing. One of the things that is interesting about cassettes is to check the holder here of the tape in the middle, because this tends to get damaged by time. It has that small spongy square piece there, but anyway, that can be replaced. So yes, this is it, 1973 Blue Album from Germany on cassette. So this was about it for today. For those of you still waiting for the Rubber Soul episode, thank you for your patience. I promise I'm going to be working on it as soon as I can. Otherwise, please do share, subscribe, like, and all of the YouTube stuff. It does help me with the channel. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope I'll see you next time.